In the courtroom, a girl suddenly accused her teacher, saying he had put his hand under her skirt and kept harassing her. Lawyer John sat nearby, listening to the girl's testimony. He casually turned his head and caught sight of the defendant's face, a look of obsession, as if he was still savoring it, almost enjoying the memory. That one glance told the seasoned John everything. The girl was telling the truth. The man he thought might be innocent was actually a shameless predator. John's anger boiled over. He immediately asked the judge for a recess and rushed to the restroom to calm down. But no matter how disgusting it was, he still had to defend the man. If he quit now, not only would his streak of 63 straight wins be broken, but his entire career could collapse. At that moment, John stood at the crossroads between his ideals and his conscience. Just then, a journalist walked into the restroom. He had watched the whole trial and now mocked John with a sneer, saying John was hiding because he was afraid of losing, even mocking his undefeated record. The journalist's words pushed John over the edge. Driven by pride, he forced down his conscience and decided to fight for the predator's acquittal. After resetting his mindset, John launched a fierce counterattack. He grilled the girl. Hadn't other teachers bullied her too? The girl answered, yes. Then he showed the doodles she had drawn in class, ugly sketches with the words "super fat pig" beside them. Next, John pressed her further. Hadn't she ever played sexual fantasy games with classmates? The girl hesitated for a long time, but finally admitted she had. At that point, John had achieved his goal. The girl admitted she hated the defendant, so she had mixed her resentment with fantasy, turning it into the so-called harassment story. It sounded outrageous, but the logic seemed to hold. And besides, the entire case rested only on the girl's testimony. There were no other witnesses. In the end, the judge had no choice but to rule. The defendant was not guilty. John's winning streak stayed intact, extended yet again. He drowned himself in the thrill of victory. While celebrating at a bar, he was approached by New York's top law firm. At first, John thought it was a scam, afraid he'd lose everything to fraud. But when a massive check with rows of zeros landed in front of him, he accepted without hesitation. In the American legal system, the jury holds the real power, while the judge simply announces the verdict and sets the sentence. So in John's very first New York trial, he only needed one glance at the jury to identify which members would hurt his case, and reminded his team to strike them early. Sure enough, after the jury was filtered, they unanimously sided against the prosecution, and the defendant walked free. John scored an easy victory in his New York debut, impressing the firm's boss on the spot, who quickly extended an invitation. After a short conversation, the boss, Neilton, took John straight up to the rooftop terrace. All around was an infinity pool, with only a narrow walkway leading to the edge and no railings at all. The sight made John uneasy, but Neilton acted as if nothing was wrong, even walking right to the very edge. He called it a pressure test. To him, pressure sharpened focus and was the key to success. But for John, a small-town man, money was his greatest motivation. Once officially on board, John soon received his first case. The video evidence was crystal clear. The defendant was caught torturing animals at home. The proof was overwhelming.